Welcome to Jasiri. Good morning.
It's my pleasure joining you this morning, and good morning to all our viewers all across the world.
Yes, thank you. We had another question before, but I asked you off air, and I think it's important we ask you on air. How is she?
It's a private. I think it's between the lawyers and her client. I think we should just restrict it to that confidential part. But
no, we don't want to know where she is. We want to know where she is.
Yes, and that's actually the space that I'm talking about.
Really?
I think we should just
okay.
We should just be lull on that.
So it actually is very sad that it has come to this. A citizen speaks up, and now her emotions, everything, have to be guided by legal processes. I'm sure she never would have seen this coming, and it's unfortunate because they've pushed Nigerians to a point where the government either ignores you or they respond to you or they threaten you. So my question is, this has obviously taken a life of its own. We did not see that it was going to spiral this much. We saw videos making the round of you and a couple of other persons that went with her to the NYSC. What happened when you got there, and has there been any information from them as to why she was summoned?
Okay, when we got there, of course, we got there at about past 10. The meeting was supposed to be for 10, according to them, but for some logistical issues. So we got there slightly late. When we got there, we asked after the LGI coordinator, and they told us that she was here to report to the office. Yet she was the one that actually gave the appointment time. We observed that calls were being put through to her. Text messages were being, while we were there, because we could hear the wordings in the background. Maybe they thought that some of us didn't understand alternative languages in Lagos State. So communications were being made to her, and I think that it became obvious that she would not be able to stand the public pressure, firepower that was potentially going to be the fallout immediately. So the young lady put a call through to her in public, and her response to the young lady was that we should make the meeting a subsequent one, that it will be the next time for the meeting will be communicated to her.
Really?
So yes. So
okay.
that was how we left off yesterday.
Okay, so on Monday when we discussed this at the beginning of the show, we took some parts of the NYSC bylaws that have been making the rounds in relation to this situation. There's a part about not being rude to constituted authority or not taking part in partisan politics, as well as not addressing the press on any policy issue without prior written consent from the state coordinator. Because there are a lot of people who say that as a core member serving at the pleasure of the Nigerian government, that she's not entitled to speak on an issue such as she did. Do any of these look like what could be used against her to stop her from having an opinion as a Nigerian?
Okay, as much as possible too, one of the things that we as our legal team decided was we'll hold back as much as possible from speculations. We wanted, one of our major missions yesterday was to get them to put it in writing, whatever it is that they are accusing her of, so that we'll be able to have something finite
to be able to work with
and respond to. So, and they truncated that process yesterday. So till now, till this moment that I speak to you, there is nothing formal that is against her. So we don't even know whether they are accusing her of everything that has made the public court of law or not. It's because they can choose not to press charges or not to proceed. And if they don't proceed, it means that they are working in futility. So that is some of the, in a manner of speaking, traps that we are presently setting for them. So as for the bylaws, now that as it stands, our client has not been charged with anything. So if we say that we want to be analyzing the applicability of the bylaws in court, we usually say that's academic, and the court will usually say that they don't comment on academic issues. But for the purpose of academics, the bylaws, so long as we are concerned, as some people who have been advising Nigerians to at large, it cannot take the place, or it cannot rise to the level of the protections that are guaranteed
in the Constitution.
By the Constitution. Section 39 of our Constitution to be precise. And that I can do a full. If you leave me to just go on my own wing, I'm free to go and bless you with knowledge in this regard.
I know that a lot of this back and forth and everything, especially when it concerns the social media, there's been a lot of debate about whether NYSC members or the core members are bound by oaths like civil servants to, some specific oath taking when it comes to taking up. I know that I did NYSC, of course, they must have said raise your hand and recite one or two things. I want to know that, is it binding? Are they like local government officials? We need to know about these oaths that everybody seems to be afraid of. And if that kind of oath is binding them, it's just like the ones that presidents take. Thank you. When they take up office,
the Constitution.
Yes, the Attorney General, people that occupy public places take an oath. Is there anything like oath taking?
Justice, let me just quickly add to that. Are core members to be seen as civil servants? Because that's also been a large part of the conversation happening on social media. Do they exist sort of in a gray space when it comes to who they are under the Nigerian government?
Yeah, in order to be fully sincere, they exist in a gray space because there has to be minimal regulations that apply to them. But when such regulations are in conflict with the provisions of our Constitution, those regulations, to the extent of their inconsistency, they are null, void, and of no effect. I think those are not my words. I commend you to the provisions of Section 1, subsection 1 of our Constitution and Section 1, subsection 3 of our Constitution. When the president or the governors or the legislators take the oath of office, one of the things that they commit to doing is to maintain the adherence to the provisions of the Constitution. So if they are asking NYSC members, civil servants to abide by things that are conflicting with the provisions of the Constitution, I feel that they are wrong. So in this situation, they cannot insist on core members not being able to maximally enjoy the provisions of the Constitution that have not just been provided for their benefit, but have been guaranteed for core members and civil servants. I think that to the extent that they are insisting that they abide by such regulations or rules in case of civil servants, I think that those persons that swore to their oaths in the Constitution, I think that those persons are wrong. So the president is wrong if he is the one championing this, even though I honestly do not believe that he is championing it.
I'm looking at the bylaws and I know that the Constitution is above all, but every law has its place and why it's there. I'm wondering that, is it not time that we begin to talk about amendments of some of the law, because some of them are absolutely obsolete now, because the time that they were created, the peculiarities of social media has not really come. Because if I'm looking at it and saying before press, social media, would they say that describes, if you are going to look at a matter of letter, would you say that would suffice? Because I'm a bit, it's something I pondered on.
Okay, for me, I think that let's even start from the regulations part. We have to remember that the way regulations are made, okay, let me even go a bit further. Laws generally are made by the legislature pursuant to our Constitution. I commend you to the provisions of Section 4 of our Constitution. So that's the primary duty of the first and primary arm of government, even though it looks like we are getting it wrong this time. We are making the executive the first and most powerful arm of government pursuant to Section 130 of our Constitution. If the legislators don't make the law, there is nothing for the executives to execute.
Yeah.
So our bylaws are made pursuant to the little lacuna given to the executive to make such laws. So I feel that it is because of the general incompetence of the executive arm of government in lawmaking, and the fact that they don't have the paraphernalia, the legal aid or this person, legislative aid, or this person that assists the legislators to make laws, despite the fact that despite that our legislators say make laws that are funny sometimes, despite the fact that they have all the resources. So we understand if they are making these kind of bad regulations. But now stepping it up a bit, we have an Attorney General in place now who has decided to give us what we call, it's probably going to be Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2025 or 2026, depending on when the people that have been constituted into the present Law Reform Commission, when they revamp all the present laws that we have. For example, some of them, they have to make recommendations to the legislators to delete some sections of the law because the law reform pursuant to the case of, I think, I forgot. I don't have that case handy now. If I get that, I'll give it to you. Pursuant to that, Lufthansa, Shodipo and Lufthansa Airlines or something like that. That's the title of that case that states that people in law reform, the fact that a particular law is left out of law reform does not mean that it is no longer our law, because it is the legislators that actually have the power to amend law. So, with the constituted law reforms commissioned by the present Attorney General, we expect, I hope and pray, that some of the laws that are antiquated and are detrimental to the present running of a good government.
Democratic.
Thank you very much. Democratic government in Nigeria are done with and made a thing of the past. I recommend, if I have to use this platform, that our Cybercrime Act, the Anti-Terrorism Act, it is too wide.
Justice, you're going to come back on that. Hold on, because we've had a conversation on the Cybercrime Act, and it doesn't stop. But very quickly, because we have to wrap things up. On Monday evening, she did issue an apology for calling Lagos smelly and said sorry to those born and raised in Lagos who were offended by her comments. However, she did not step back from her comments calling President Tinubu a terrible president and the comments she made about the economy. So as right now, we are at sort of like a stalemate. Is she able to continue her life as a corporate? Is she able to continue with her primary assignments? Where at this point, you guys are just now waiting to hear back from NYSC. Just very briefly in about a minute.
Okay, we pray that she's able to have her normal life, because what happened to her was a tsunami of...
Is she still getting phone calls? Continue, sorry. It's all right, continue. You've answered without answering, but it's fine. Continue.
So, a lot has happened to upend her normal life as she used to know it. We just pray that she's able to take it in strides and be able to move from glory to glory. It doesn't turn out to be something that will negatively haunt her. That's our prayer. Have you heard about the father and what happened to the father?
Yes, she's from Cross River, I believe,
yes,
about his farm.
Yeah, his farm, and the fact that he also, Nigeria happened to
him
to
as
his
well.
father, unfortunately.
Right. Thank you so much, Justice Ojienoh, for sharing updates regarding the Ushie Rita Uguamaye. We'll definitely be in touch with you. We will definitely put you back on that seat, but we look forward to having her on the show very, very soon.